when it comes to work or professions, one of the easiest things to do is to basically categorize a number of professions into a particular group. That will make it easier so that a beginner doesn't have to basically work through a separate story for each and every single profession that's out there. So you have the serious professions, you have the creative professions or activities, or something else, right? When it comes to geography, now let's move to geography. That can have a lot more scope, right? So how would a beginner try to lump their or categorize different geographies or different cities or locations so that they can have fairly generic framework that they can build on for that?
Yeah, this is a little harder because with professions, it's actually easier than you said. You don't even have to separate them in serious or creative. You can do as a complete beginner learning storytelling, you can do the same story for absolutely all professions, and then kind of learn to add a tiny bit of improvisation once you're more comfortable with the storytelling. So you can do the same story all the time, and then you add like 10% of improv that's like specific to that profession. But if you want, we can cover that story. But talking about geography, so with geography, you're probably not going to have a story for each country. That's kind of obvious, but you can divide the world in like large groups. Let's say you are from the US, as an example. A lot of people in my audience are from the US, I think a majority. You meet, let's say, a lot of Latinas. You can have the same story for all of Latinas. Basically, wherever in Latin America she's from, you can say something about loud people, something about dancing, and something about how they, instead of having white Christmas, they do crazy parties for Christmas, which is something I learned in Mexico. So you can have one story for all of Latin American countries. You can take Asia as part of the world, divide it maybe in kind of multiple very, very big groups, maybe like these kind of more southern countries that are a bit more kind of exotic, like Thailand, Cambodia, all of those, and you put all of them in one group and like make like a similar one story for all of them. And then you take your kind of China, I don't know, Mongolia, I don't like kind of more northern part of Asia, maybe if we can call it like that, and you make one story for those. Like you can basically pick how broad you want your stories to be. If you want, you can do one story for all of Asia in the beginning, and one story for all of Europe, and one story for everyone from the US. But that's going to be a little bit too generic. So I would maybe divide it in kind of slightly smaller groups. But there are two things that I want people to understand about learning storytelling. About topics where you need more than one story. Like, as I said, professions, as a beginner, just use the same story over and over again. Nothing wrong with it. While you're learning, later stop doing that. Don't be a moron using the same story on every chick forever and ever. But so there are two things I want people to understand. One is you don't learn stories while you are in a set. You learn stories outside of sets. Not when you go home, but for example, you do a set, you open a girl, she says she's from China. And you're in a set and you're like, oh shit, I don't fucking know what to say. And you do something and it's again, you whatever, it goes somewhere, it doesn't go anywhere, it doesn't matter. But what matters is after the conversation, you simply then and there think, hey, what was the topic I got? The first topic I got was she's from China. Okay, what's the story I can tell the next time I meet someone from China? And then you think about, you can use the three things technique. Hey, what are three things that I can use about China that are interesting, that are slightly teasing, spark her emotions? What can I use about people from China? You think about that, you come up with them, and then you go about a new day game and, you do all of your sets. But sooner or later, you're gonna run into a girl from China again. And then you go, oh shit, I had a topic from China. I came up with these three things. You maybe remember one or two of them. You don't remember all of them because not every third girl is going to be Chinese. And then after that set, you pause and you think, hey, wait, what was the topic? China. Right. I used these three things. Okay. How can I improve this even more so that the third time I meet a Chinese girl, I can actually say something more interesting. And the third time you meet her, like you do this again. And then if by the fifth time you meet someone from China, you don't have a polished, good story that you can use every time you meet a girl from China. Like, what the fuck are you doing with your day game? Because when guys are going out and they're just approaching, and let's say they meet like, they've met like 40 girls from China and they still don't have a story, and they just think that they're going to learn some magic technique that's going to let them come up with interesting things to say in a set. It just doesn't happen like that. Yes, there are wunderkinds who can do that, but they are exceptions. So this work happens outside of sets, not when you go home, because people don't do it when they go home. They have other priorities, other things. They're tired, and then you do it right after the set. And okay, if it's a topic where you don't know anything about the topic that came up, yeah, that's fine. You thought about it for like a minute or two, nothing comes to your mind. Okay, open the notes app, write down whatever. She's an actuary. Go home, Google what the fuck is an actuary. Yeah, it's a statistics, math, insurance. Yeah, and then you come up with a story at home. I don't know whether doing some research on Wikipedia. You can use ChatGPT for that. And then the next time you meet someone who does that, okay, now you have a story or from that country. But remember, we're not talking about specifically China. We're talking about these big groups of stories like, hey, you met one Latina, and then in the same session, you met 3 more Latinas. Then, okay, 4 Latinas, you should already have a decent story. So that's how you learn storytelling with these groups, where you can't use the same story over and over again. That's one thing. And then another thing that I want people to understand is, people are afraid to go into these stories because they are afraid. They don't know anything about, they don't know whether what they're saying is actually true. Then, oh shit, I might say that, but I might be wrong. It might be offensive. Like, whatever, just say it. I don't remember who was the Daygame, or maybe John Matrix, someone else. I don't remember, but I heard of someone using the same story about geography, where let's say a girl is from Thailand, and he would say, oh yeah, I can already imagine you having a picnic with like a wine in front of Eiffel Tower. and that would get girls giggling and spark emotions and give some response. And so don't be afraid to say something ridiculously stupid with your stories and be completely wrong. It's actually good. Because when you say something wrong, there's this joke online, like, how do you get people to give you good advice on forums? You log in as another user and you give bad advice and other people will correct you. It's the same in Daygame. She tells you she's from Thailand. You say something stupid that's wrong about Thailand. She's going to correct you. She's going to be really interested in correcting you. So it actually works very, very good when you say something dumb, and oftentimes actually gets even better responses. So, new Daygame technique, start saying really dumb shit. This was a short clip where I teach about advanced Daygame storytelling. If you feel like you're doing good when chatting with girls who are interested from the beginning of the conversation, but you can't understand what to do to make the other girls interested, then check out the full podcast episode by clicking the link in the description.